guess since I'm doing this, I should get some video, Windows, media player. I should put on some music. Let's see here. Is it playing? Okay, it can be a little bit louder than that. Check here. Do you hear that? Okay, you can hear that. I am planning on just mapping some things out. I'm still in like the conceptual phase. Okay, the music's a little too loud for me. Let me turn it back down. Can't hear myself thinking. And we can turn this up a little bit here. Hopefully that's good audio balancing. I am planning on making a Five Nights inspired game based off of Garn 47, which means I need to get a rough visual of the layout of Garn's house, just so I know what I'm working with. Okay, let's go to the bottom here. This is the way my brain's thinking of it. You've got the stairs that go into the main room, which is just that. That's the wrong tab. I've got so many tabs open. So it goes over, up. There's a back wall here. It goes down to here. Okay. Go that way. Okay. This is the spare room with the staircase up. I'm literally just drawing a rough layout of Garn's house. Okay. Goes to here. This goes to here. So it's the staircase up. Okay. Over there. Okay. This goes here. Sofa. TV box. Okay. Wrong button. Let me get here. I am drawing on the background layer. That's a mistake, but it's fine. Okay. This goes to here. Okay, that's basically the same on that side. Keep opening the wrong tabs because I've got so many open right now. It also basically does that. Okay, then it goes back to that. Middle of there goes up, over, back down into there. Okay, and that is lined up with there. Okay. Is there. Right, did I put them in the right spot? Yep. Okay. It's there. Chair's there. Okay. Relatively empty house. Okay, and then there's the stairs upstairs that go to. Yep, big room. Where in this big room was the. It's just to the right here, I believe. Okay. So these go up. They go up to big room. Let's keep this somewhat consistent. Well, they technically have a hallway through them. Why am I trying to erase like that when I can just do that? Okay, so they lead up to little bendy hallway. That then lead up to big, theoretically, bedroom, or whatever room, that then is going to have the bathroom off to the side. I forget the exact layout of the bathroom, so we're just going to do that. Guess I don't need the details for this room, at least for the concepting. Okay. So this is a point of entrance. this is a point of entrance, and funnily, this is a point of entrance. Okay. So I was thinking of having the place you're protecting be this room. Something unique that I could do, the idea that I was having is that you are playing as Car. I can't draw Car, but I can draw whatever this thing is. Who is currently at a little computer. He's got like a stool or something that he is on to be able to see it. And he is essentially trying to make sure that Garn gets a good night's sleep. So like, say that Garn has a bed set up in the room here that he's sound asleep on. So, something unique I could go for is have different threats that target you or target Garn separately. Let me write that down up here. You, Car separate. Why am I doing it like this when I can use text? Make Car a separate. Make you Car a separate target from Garn 47. Save. Let's make you a font that I can read better. Here. Boom. Okay. Make Car and Garn separate targets. That's already a unique thing I could do. Car could pretty much be anywhere, which means that we'd mostly... which actually would make a unique dynamic. Most of the things that would be coming for Garn are pretty lethal, but I think anything that reasonably would be coming for Car would just be distractions or inconveniences. Looking at where we've got points of interest set up, we could theoretically have Car set up with this computer pretty much anywhere in the house. Wait, I gotta add something. Not on the vector layer. Let's actually make a new layer, so I'm not continuing to draw on the background. Theoretically, this... I don't know if it's this corner. I think it's this corner. Could also be a point of entry if we're looking to the future like we are with this room here. And what I was also thinking about is having an external camera to the outside of the house and to the in-between room that this sometimes leads to. Actually, let me check something. Oh, this does lead to here. Okay, that does lead to there. So this... how are we denoting this? I'll make it a T. T goes to room. It goes to the superstructure. So we could reasonably have anything that's from the superstructure enter through here, and have things that are exterior threats enter from here. Then we'd have the sewer entrance, which I think is mainly going to be... I don't know the best way to put it. I think it would be funny if Biko came from the sewer entrance. Where would we want to place Car in all of this so that most things... So most things coming from the superstructure, which is this way, wouldn't actually bother Car much. Let's see here. Could just have Car set up here, or here. We could have, like, this chair turned around, and Car is actually on this chair. Instead of, wait, let me check. Okay, yep, that's still going. We could have Car on that chair. Let me check something real quick. Wrong way. Despite just drawing a whole map of Garn 47's house, I still am getting turned around in it. Okay. Yeah, that chair would be a funny spot for Car. Okay. I like that idea. We could turn this chair around and have Car be on the chair. That is on the background layer. Does the chair look like exactly? Okay. This looks like a normal chair. Ignore my poor drawing of a normal chair. This is what mouse drawing gets me. Which means that this would be pretty much set up here. Okay, and that means most threats have a certain amount of room they have to get through before getting to things. I might, for mechanics reasons, make... this its whole own room? Like, we might actually want to consider this as, like, vents in, like, the FNAF games, where you have to check vents separately and it's a way that only certain things can go, since it is a smaller corridor than the other doorways. But I think also just having anything that would want to come through this way, have this whole area count as a separate room, would be for the best. Just putting dots to denote the boundaries of different rooms. Notably, pretty much anything that comes from the sewers, I would want to be a threat to Kar and not to Garn. Because we wouldn't want things coming from the sewers and then just immediately going for Garn in the next room. That would be quite rude. So anything that's going for Garn, you'd probably want to come in from this way, so there's at least 1, 2, 3 rooms before they get there, or to come in from this way, so there's a few rooms before they get there. Let's make a list of things. Entrances, front door, superstructure, bathroom. And let's put an asterisk, seagull hole. Make it readable. How's stream doing? I've got a lot of things open. Okay, it's handling it well. That's good. Go back to here. Okay, so we've got that well planned out. Got a good map to start with. Transitions between rooms. I might want to combine... This is kind of a lot of rooms to check. There could be some simplifications that I make. Sorry, just thinking a lot. Maybe I don't need simplifications. Maybe the sheer amount of places you can check will just be part of it. I'm thinking from here, I wouldn't need cameras in this room or this one, Maybe I could just have like a turnaround mechanic where you can, from here, look here, and look here. Yeah, then these could pretty much function as doors. Doors. Wow, I cannot. Door. Door. Like, essentially, for anything that's trying to come this way, these would be like the Five Nights at Freddy's doors that you can just close to keep yourself protected. For like certain things you wouldn't be able to dissuade otherwise. Okay. Got that. What are you doing here, stray dot? So what are our ways of managing threats? Closing doors. Ways to manage threats. Close doors. I am thinking of having a sort of shooting system. Instead of like a taser or buzzer or whatever it is for FNAF, whatever camera Car is currently looking through, give him the ability to, even though it might not make perfect sense canon-wise, to effectively do a essence blast through the camera, which would discourage certain threats that might be in rooms. Essence blast. I am also thinking of making Drilly be here as like another person you can manage that can go around and help deal with certain people, essentially in place of Car or a bothering Garn. Like, you might need to tell Drilly, hey, move to this room because I just saw someone there that you need to deal with. That would be an interesting thing to work with. I'd essentially have to make them move on a delay to simulate actually moving through rooms, which means positioning Drilly would be important. You'd probably want Drilly to just be around here most of the time, and then have them come through, depending on what they needed to deal with. Outside. Great drawing you. We want an outside view too. So essentially looking here is like the outside view for what's gonna come through here. Outside view of the house would be able to pre-warn you who's coming through here. And then there wouldn't be a pre-warning for here. The thing with Five Nights at Freddy's games is they're actually heavily audio cue based. As in, you would have a lot of audio cues for different things happening, so you wouldn't even necessarily have to look at everything. So my idea is certain nights there are going to be people that are trying to get in. When you can check the outside view to see that people are approaching, some people you might be able to deal with at the outside view if you're very ready and act preemptively. But once they get in, once they're about to come in, they will play an audio cue that they have entered Garn's house. That's like specific for each one. Or even maybe just a few seconds before they enter, they'll play an audio cue that's like them knocking at the door or asking to get in. And that will be a cue for people coming this way that enter. Since this is much closer, and also a weird back door, you wouldn't get the knocking, but you probably get some sort of a distinctive clue whenever people come through here. And then the bathroom, I don't plan on major threats coming through the bathroom. I plan on nuisances coming through, none of which will go after Garn, who is right here, all of which will try to get to Carr. So for the bathroom, I might not even do specific audio cues. It might be something you have to check on your own. Okay, Essence Blast. I like that making Drilly a manageable thing idea that I had. Carr is control Drilly. I like that description for it. Carr is control Drilly. I just got like 3 texts. What for? Nothing, 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 nothing. For some reason, Gmail gave me a notification, which rarely happens. Ways to manage threats: close doors, Essence Blast, Carr is control Drilly. Okay, so what is being managed? The Essence Blast should have a cooldown, just like Garn's. I think one of the things that's going to be managed is you can only have one door closed at once. Normally there's like an energy system for like Five Nights at Freddy's. Oh, you're gonna run out of power, aren't gonna be able to close doors anymore. But I think I'm leaning towards the idea of having more than just these 2 doors that you can close, but you can only have one door closed at a time. That it's basically a car concentrating, trying to has to actively concentrate to use his powers to close one of these spaces, so you can only do it to one at a time. Like, I might make it so that this counts as a door here. So it could preemptively stop threats coming from the bathroom here, and could stop things that are trying to go up to Garn, that are in this in-between hallway here. So that would be 3 doors to manage instead of the normal 2, which already feels like a nice little unique amount of things to do. Right now I've only conceptualized 2 enemies, but that is what we're here for, to try to figure out what different threats could do. Also why we're drawing out this view. Let me save this real quick. Garn night, wait, 5 nights at Garn's drafting. 5 nights at Garn's drafting. Okay. So we've got the idea of closing doors, essence blast, car is controlled drilly. Do we want any other things to manage? So essentially, I'd give the essence blast a decent amount of time of cooldown whenever it's used, so that blasting different things is like an active thing that you have to manage. The doors, you can only have one door closed at once, so it's something you have to actively manage. And car is control drilly. If drilly is dealing with things, you need to preemptively have drilly in the area you want her to be, because there will be like time as they're moving around. They won't just go places instantly, which I think is also an interesting resource to have to manage. Okay. That's a cool amount of things to manage. And perhaps some things, instead of outright ending the game, might, say, break one of the doors, might increase the cooldown of Essence Blast, or something else instead of being an instant game over. Like I said, just nuisances that need to be managed that aren't necessarily end of the world. So, okay. I like all of these. Maybe I could have more doors than just these, so that doors are really something you can mess around with. That would be interesting if you could, like, actively, selectively seal off a lot of things. Hmm. Let me put another idea here. What if you could close two, but you could only close two for a limited time? Or if, like, having two doors closed was on a cooldown as well, similar to the Essence Blast. So you can have two doors closed in case of an emergency, but it's like the emergency panic button, and there's a cooldown after you do it, like a significant one, until you can do it again. Because I'm thinking with the amount of different things that could be here at once, like, what if two things in two different places are trying to get in at the same time, and you need to stop both of them? I wouldn't want there to be an impossible situation. So having the ability to control two doors on a cooldown is a way to mitigate that issue. Because it would mean if two things do happen to line up, you're able to just panic, stop two of the things, instead of just being already boned by it. I like that idea, just to make things a little bit more manageable, make it so I've got more freedom in designing different characters and what they do. Essence Blast is already on a cooldown. Car is controlled. Drilly won't have a cooldown, but like I said, the thing you'd be working with by telling Drilly to do stuff is that Drilly would have to physically move through the rooms, which just takes time. So, like, closing the doors and the Essence Blast would be instant, very responsive. You did them, okay. The effect has taken place, whereas telling Drilly to go different places would be almost like a delayed thing. She could probably intercept some people before they become an issue, but you'd have to be like preemptive, like, oh, you know, someone's coming through here that Drilly might want to interact with. Then you'd have to preemptively put Drilly in one of these two rooms, and then put her in whichever one would block whatever is coming from here. I also think a cool idea would be if you haven't told Drilly to do anything in a while, she will just start free roaming, like just kind of wandering around, so that Drilly is someone that you have to actively keep telling, okay, go here now, okay, go here now, instead of just being able to like leave her in one room and then have to like if you could just leave Drilly in one room, you would probably just leave her in one of the entrances or one of these two, so that she has the most access to go wherever they're needed in the house. But the wandering idea would make it so you at least have to look a little bit about it, like, where is she actively right now? Send her to one of the things that's closer. Okay. I like that. Maybe we could have something then where Drilly can't be sent to the same room twice. Or have Drilly being sent somewhere be on a cooldown that's long enough that she begins to wander before you can do it again. I kind of like the idea. Oh no, sending her to two different... It would have to be a cooldown. Because I've been describing, there'd innately be a amount of time for Drilly to reach different places. If I just made it so you can't send them to the same room twice, it would be a weird thing where, let's say you wanted Drilly to camp the main entrance here. You could tell her, go here, wait until she gets here, then you could just immediately say like, oh yeah, go here. So you have no longer given her two commands in a row that are the same, but then you could interrupt the go here with, yeah, just go back to the main entrance, which would be a way to effectively wrangle her into a room that the only thing that could really stop that is having a timer on how often you can tell Drilly to go places, which kind of sucks. I hope I can think of a different way to manage that. Maybe after you tell her to go to a certain room, you can't tell her to go to that room again specifically for a certain amount of time. It's like if you tell Drilly go to this room, there's a timer that comes up that's like, you can't send Drilly back to this room for a minute or two. That is then independent from if you send her to any of the other rooms. So if you go around sending her everywhere, then you aren't going to be able to send her anywhere for a bit, and it will be like a kind of punishment timeout. Okay. I can work with that. I am the sun. I am me. Well, this is what I become. Wanders. Spam. Then shove. This is just a general note for how do we stop people from just keeping her in one place or trying to move her constantly. I've got a couple of ideas for how to do that, but I'm just generally writing spam prevention with a question mark for now. Something that Five Nights at Freddy's does is it gives players like room to panic, do things that are suboptimal, but it's very rare that it actively rewards the player for different things. I think an idea that I'd like is if, let's say, instead of just limiting the 2 doors closed on a cooldown to that, let's say that car actually has an energy bar. Now we're getting back to having an energy bar that has like a certain amount of pips on it, let's say 3. And anytime you can do an emergency action, like maybe use the Essence Blast off of cooldown, or close multiple doors at once. Let's say instead of making that have a cooldown, we actually make it use up one of the energy bars that you have. So essentially you'd have extra spare energy that you can use to panic, do something quickly that you couldn't normally do. What I'm thinking is, not all of the things in here are necessarily going to be threats to Garn or to Car. What if certain creature interactions, if you, like, do them properly, get people to certain areas, instead of just being, oh, they're a threat, actually gave you a reward for helping them by giving you back one of your energy bars. Like, let's say if you've got the broadcasted buddies in here, any amount of them, and safely let them navigate through to Car or something, they'd come in and actually reward you for letting them through to Car by, like, giving you an energy back or something. I like that idea. I do like that idea. Okay, I like this and this quasi-energy system. Emergency energy. I can't spell for the life of me, and you get to see that firsthand. Okay, emergency energy system. I like the idea of the broadcasted buddies not being a threat. You'd probably have the option to shoot them to dissuade them at any given point. They might be a threat to Garn if they get up here into his room. Like, if they get too close to him, they mess with him sleeping, and that's a game over. But maybe you could have a way of corralling some of them. If you specifically let them get to Car, he talks to them, and they restore one of his energies as, like, a reward for intentionally corralling them instead of shooting them. That would be interesting. And with this whole idea of the emergency energy system, there actually is a lot we could play around with that. I like that idea a lot, actually. I think instead of having a cooldown on closing multiple doors, let's actually make it lockdown. And to initiate a lockdown, you need to use one of your emergency energies. So a lockdown would pretty much close all of the viable doors all at once for a good amount of time. But it would use one of your emergency energies. Essence Blast? I mean, I could see just doing a rapid fire. Yeah, could just do a rapid fire for the Essence Blast. There's probably something cooler we could do if I thought of it a bit more, but for now I'm just gonna say rapid fire. Kara's control Drilly. I think it's fine to leave Drilly as is. Don't need this interacting with Drilly. Drilly's already just a cool concept to be there in the first place. Trying to think. Because if we've got a system like this, and we've got built-in ways to recover the energy, would it be fair to at any point have an event that specifically requires the player use energy or die, or should it be something else? Because I'm like thinking, what if one of the things we could have is like a hope raid or main area raid that you need to look at the outside view of the house for and specifically use the emergency energy to stop something bad from happening. Like if it's hope, it's probably use an emergency energy just specifically to dissuade the whole event from happening. Like, is probably gonna wake up Garn if that happens outside. And then for the other two, for the others, I don't know if I like the idea of having a chance that you're just gonna energy check the player at some point. Like say, hey, do you have an emergency energy? If not, you die. I don't like that, which is why I'm not the most committed to this idea of having a hope raid that just takes one of your energies if you want to stop it. But I like the idea that maybe certain raids could cause really bad negative effects on the house, but you could choose to stop them by using one of the emergency energies that you have. I do like that idea. That feels a lot more fair. So if you don't want to use the emergency energy on the raid, you can try to just deal with whatever its consequences are until it's over, but get to save the energy. That I like a lot more, because it's a bit more skill expression. If you're skillful enough to have a lot of emergency energy, then that's already a show of power. Sure, go ahead, disable the raid, you're doing fine. Okay, I like that idea. Like that idea. Okay, let's start thinking of different characters and what they would do. Like I said, I've already got 2 ideas. I'm just gonna put them immediately. Comic Sans. Character ideas. Let's say main area. Super structure. Sewers. Raid. Ever-present. Ever-present, I am using as a denoter for things that could happen anytime that aren't necessarily thing you have to worry about. So like ever present would be, for fun I'd probably have the, what are they called, spawnites? So like anytime you go to a camera there might be a spawnite, or just even like in the game have a spawnite go by. They aren't a threat, they just kind of show up sometimes to like visually mess with you. Spawnites, pure visual to mess with you. I'm thinking ever present would be, oh, what's the name? Where? I put a good bit of thought into it. I think the where will show up. I don't know which way I want to do it. I want the where to essentially show up as a doppelganger of characters. But I specifically want them to show up in ways that they shouldn't, to give away that it's the where. Like, the where won't have any... I don't know if I want to have it that the where has incorrect audio cues, or that the where doesn't have audio cues. But the where will essentially be mimicking different entities, and you have to deal with them separately. Like, recognize, okay, this isn't the person isn't actually here, this is clearly the where. Maybe just fully have the where be a red herring. Maybe not even have a separate way of dealing with the where. Just have it kind of... that would reward observation. You'd have to make sure that it doesn't make situations like that. Okay. Where? Okay, I have an idea. The where becomes someone that isn't present. Let's do mimics. That isn't present. Interacting with them removes one emergency power, but banishes them temporarily. I like that idea. I like that idea. Specifically, so like, when you're playing the game, it's good to know who's gonna be there in what night, and if I make a, like, ultimate custom night mode, seeing the where would essentially be a memory check of who's supposed to be here tonight, and if you see someone that you don't think should be here, then that is a clear sign, okay, it's the where. And it would only mess with you. The idea that I have here is the where is completely harmless, but only messes with you if you mess with it effectively. Like, it's just a presence. It's sort of like a stronger version of the spawnites. The spawnites I plan on just having being like funny visual gags in some of the rooms, or just being like the thing that scrolls by to mess with you, like in Garn. Whereas the where is almost exactly like the spawnites, but a more actively impactful one that's actually like replicating in-game things in order to try to get you to interact with it. But I like the idea that it will never have audio cues to help distinguish it from real things. And I like the idea that you just have to avoid interacting with it, and that it's completely harmless unless you interact with it. And that's why I say ever present here, because if you have the where turned on, it would be just something that's always there. It's not like, oh, it has to enter from somewhere or will come in at some point during the night. It's just there. Okay, I like that. Let's see here. I'm forgetting that staring at things also can count as an interaction. Let me save this for now. Let me go to this vector layer. Stare at things. Add that. Because staring at things, staying specifically on a certain camera for a long enough amount of time can also be an interaction of some kind. That is something that's common in Five Nights at Freddy's stuff. Just looking at things for long enough is a way of interacting with them. Pretty much devoting your attention for a few moments. So I have to remember that. Because that could also probably play into the where. Let me name these vector layers. Let's put a V at the beginning because it's a vector. Character ideas, vector character ideas, vector interactions. What is this one? Okay. V points of entrance. And vector layer 1 is vector ideas. Okay. Good. Let's see here. What other character ideas? Main area. From the sewers, we have Biko. Why is there such a big gap there? Why did that happen? Eco attempts to approach car and steal his chair. We aren't gonna worry about this or say anything other than that about it. Well, I am gonna say more. I like the idea all of the computers that Car has are clearly too tall for him to properly interact with, which is why I even initially had the idea of Car being on a stool to be able to look at the computer properly, and why I liked that idea of use Garn's chair here to be the computer. Biko is a bit of a weirdo, and I feel is very much so the type that would intentionally try to steal Car's chair. So that is a very fun idea, and what I would essentially do for that, Biko wouldn't end the night, but if Biko successfully gets to Car, you would either have to do an animation that puts you at an odd angle looking at the computer in order to use it, or I would jokingly, lower the vision of the camera whenever you pull up camera views by, a third of the screen, so you can't see the top of the screen whenever you try to use the cameras for the rest of the night. It would just be, an inconvenience that makes it a bit harder to see things, but wouldn't necessarily end the game for you. Maybe I could intentionally put on the cameras the cooldowns of how long you have to wait before you can do things at the top of the screen, so that without the chair you can't see the cooldowns of things anymore because they'd be cut off by being too short. I like that idea. I like that idea. I'm gonna keep that idea. It might change slightly, but I like it enough to note it down separately as like more information. Superstructure, main area. Okay, main area. Hmm. Let's actually do some more optional ever present. What are some of the people that are present in Garn 47's house? There is. I've got the person's name, but I'm struggling to remember the character's name. Why do I know the person's name more than the character's name? I need to check. Okay. Yep, that is showing what it's supposed to show, so I should be fine to check. Wait, no, I don't need to check Discord for it. I can just Google it. I can just go to the wiki. What am I doing going to Discord for something that Google can help a lot better? Garn 47 characters. Foraz, that's the name. This isn't the right window. Ever present Foraz. Sometimes wanders from the living room. Shoot to make instantly move 2 rooms. Keep out of Garn's room. So that's like my basic idea. They would be mostly occupied by the TV in the main room, but every now and then there'd probably be an audio cue of the TV turning off, and after a bit, when the TV is turned off, they would begin to wander until you turn the TV back on. And while they're wandering, at any point, you can shoot them to make them move 2 times. So essentially the idea would be if they are here or in the hallway here, you can close the door to Garn's room and then shoot them to immediately move them away from that area. So from the hallway, shoot them, they'd move once back to here and then once to one of these. And if they are here, I'd probably custom code it so that as long as you have the door closed, they won't go this way, so you could shoot them to push them back to here or to push them into one of these 2 rooms. Maybe you could use... Maybe I should make this emergency energy a more broad thing. Maybe give you a bit more of it. Because, like, maybe I could say you can use an emergency energy to turn the TV back on to get Foraz back in here so that he stops wandering. That's an idea. The more I'm thinking of this energy system, this, like, modular energy system instead of loose energy system, the more I like it, and the more I think I can do with it that's interesting. TV eventually turns back on, or 1 EE to instantly fix. 1 emergency energy to instantly fix. Okay, I like that. I like that. There's Foraz, there is Shipley. I don't think Shipley would be a threat. What would Shipley do? Show me your moves. Show me your moves. Teach me your... Hey, can you teach me some moves? Hmm. Hmm. I've got like multiple ideas for Chipley, but I feel like Chipley shouldn't be at all in immediate danger or threat to things going on. They might just be a nuisance, maybe? Hmm. 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 Chipley. I have an idea. If you look at Chipley for too long, they notice, and then they will move to the next room that you change cameras to. So they aren't going to actively wander into Garn's room or into yours, but you can accidentally pretty much command them to move into Garn's room or yours if you aren't careful. And then they would become an actual problem. Like, Chipley wouldn't be an issue for Carr, but the idea that you could accidentally move Chipley into Garn's room and have Chipley end up waking him up is really funny to me. If you stare at Chipley for too long, he will move to the next room you move the camera to. Not only a threat if moved to Garn 47's bedroom. Okay, I like that. And notably, my idea is going to be going through the days. There are all these different areas that people you have to deal with can come from. The earlier days are just going to have like some of them, and then as they go on, they're going to add more and more. So ever present doesn't mean they're going to be there every day. It just means it just means they're constantly there from the very start. They don't have to enter from some area or just have their chance of happening happen. It's just like, if you turn them on, they are a thing that will be there regardless. Whereas things from main area are going to be people that you can actively see enter in the main area. That you can actively see in the main area come up to the door and enter the house. That won't necessarily be there the whole night and might even leave after you do certain things. All of these people, there's no way to properly make them leave, and will be there from the very beginning. That is sort of my justification of this separate section. If you turn any of them on, they'll be there the entire night, no way to make them leave. Whereas anything that actively wanders in from the main area, the superstructure, sewers, or is a raid, there will be some way of getting rid of them. Like, they might not even come back once you've dealt with them. Okay, is there anything else that would make sense as... And there are going to be some things that once they arrive from an area, they won't leave, but I feel that's separate from being ever present like all of these ones. Like, I won't dwell on that now. That's not what I want to work on. That's not what I'm theory crafting here. Okay, is there any other possible ever-presence? Seagull, seagull, seagull could be an ever-present. Already have that. I don't know if seagull would be an ever-present, actually. It, we could have the seagull be an ever-present. Hmm. Seagull, ever-present. It is going to stand in that one back corner room. Let me save this. It will stand in this back corner room here where I've got the star. Drawing. Seagull. How do we want to deal with the seagull? Hmm. Becomes more agitated. Okay. So I typed it out, but let me explain it, I guess. Um, there are multiple instances of seagulls in the game. Each one says a variation of I'm a seagull, as in I. Wrong layer. Drawings. Of as in I am a seagull. It says I'm a seagull. And it says I'm a seagull. So, something that's funny. I like the idea of it progressing through these, saying, I am a seagull, I'm a seagull, I'm a seagull, and then I'm a seagull being like the final warning for you to deal with it before it does the act of seagulling, which is breaking through your roof. Like, maybe it will have one more line for when it finally does decide to do this. But we've seen with some of the Five Nights at Freddy's games, the idea that, like, Balloon Boy or just at random, a new challenger can be added to your night. And I like the idea that the seagull is something you can manage, almost like wind-ups, Balloon Boy, whatever, that will eventually, if you don't manage it, add something new. And notably, I think once it adds someone new, it should stop being an issue, or at least become a lot more manageable. I like that idea. Yep, I like this idea. I like this use of the seagull, because that ties into the theoretical use it's going to have when it's implemented into the game, which is since a certain person is uh problematic media, uh the seagull is going to replace what they do. So once you get through the Gaur 7C fight, the seagull will appear in your house and act as a fast travel to the top of the superstructure. So I like the idea that if you agitate the seagull, it just goes and grabs someone random and brings them to your house. It's just really funny to me. Just like the idea of a seagull flying Garn up to the top of the superstructure. Okay. Fair warning? I like the idea of having a secondary warning for the wear, since as is, they seem relatively difficult to manage, especially if you've got a lot of things turned on that could visit you. So maybe viewing the room that has the computers in it, if the wear is currently actively in the house, you'd see something on the computers here in the actual computer room, just to act as an extra signifier to you that, hey, the wear is here, as like a forewarning. I think it's also interesting if we don't put a camera on this staircase, so that if you see someone that might go up here, it is actively like an intended thing that you have to do to check, did they move to one of these two rooms? If not, they're currently here. But I'm already adding a lot of things to manage. I don't know if I like that. Maybe that could be like a difficulty setting. Maybe I could have like different difficulty sliders. So like one of them is less cameras and it gives you no cameras in some of the rooms. Honestly, less cameras sounds like it would in some cases be more of a boon than a burden. Hmm. Mhm. And I like the idea of staring at things being an alternative to shooting them, because that means you could stare at things while your shoot is on cooldown to help deal with them. This could make the shot a more valuable resource. Give it a bit longer of a cooldown. My idea with the Essence Blast is you can specifically click on a character in one of the rooms you're looking at to specifically shoot that character. So it's sort of a discretionary ability where even if there's like 2 or 3 characters in a room, you only get to shoot one, but the Essence Blast should do more stuff. So if it has a cooldown, staring at things could be a alternative to shooting them. But if there are multiple things in a room that interact with staring, then you're going to trigger all of their effects at once. Some of which you might want to trigger to avoid things, but some of which staring at might cause unwanted consequences. So I like this idea of the overlapping ability of staring at things. Just gonna double check my audio balancing. That is a little loud. I guess this song is just a bit louder. I'm playing the royalty-free ones, right? Yep, this is the stream safe. I swear, the Haley Labs, the person I listen to a lot of the music from, made a bunch of songs that I genuinely thought were remixes of real songs, only to find out, no, they're completely original, which is really cool. Because, like, I thought, oh, these are, like, some sort of famous person's song that I need to worry about copywriting on. But no, they're all stream safe. It's all happy. Like, songs like this one specifically, I thought would probably be samples from a different, bigger song that, like, I wouldn't be able to have on stream or stuff. But that is uncommon nowadays, which is cool. Up, down, over, and out. Okay, got those. We've got you. Are there any other characters in Garn's house that I need to think about? There's technically Piffy. There's technically Piffy. I don't think Piffy's gonna be anything. My initial idea that I had with the broadcasted buddies, of them just wandering the place, and if they get to Car, you get an energy back, but if they get to Garn, it's game over. Instead of having a separate thing for all of the different broadcasted buddies, I might have a separate slider for just how common it is for the broadcasted buddies to show up. And then just have it whenever they show up, it's a random one that doesn't already have a role. So, like, Piffy might show up, just wander around. You can either try to guide her to Car or and keep her away from Garn, or just shoot her to get her to leave. I like that idea. Or for the broadcasted buddies, you could probably... That might actually be a use case for Drilly. Like, the broadcasted buddies you could send Drilly to tell them to leave without needing to deal with all of the other stuff. So maybe instead of telling Drilly... Maybe you can tell Drilly to go to specific rooms, but instead what you're able to do is tell Drilly to also go to specific people. So, like, if there are some broadcasted buddies wandering around, yes, you could tell Drilly, go to this room, and I'd give it a long cooldown to give the go to a specific room command, but then have a slightly shorter cooldown for commanding Drilly, hey, go interact with this person that's here. So you could tell Drilly to, like, go interact with one of the broadcasted buddies that's in the house, and once she's done talking, whoever's there will just leave. I am making motions in the game Garn 47 while describing this as though you can see the motions I'm making. Okay. Let's get rid of these and just write them out, my longer notes on them. Go to that, go to interactions, and extrapolate. One door closed at a time, no resources. Use one emergency energy to close all doors simultaneously temporarily. Essence Blast, significant cooldown. Click a person in a room to shoot them. Long cooldown to... maybe it should be short cooldown to idle can command to idle in certain rooms, cool down on telling them to go to and talk to people. There we go. Interact with people. Stare at things. Looking at something through a camera for long enough can interact with it. There we go. Longer descriptions here instead of... Okay, let's move that. I like these. Let's actually... see energy to rapid fire? And then we're going to put a question mark. Rapid fire question mark. Because I have not figured out... I like the idea of having the ability to do some of these things at the cost of your energy, but I don't know what a good upgrade for the Essence Blast would be if you did it. Maybe it's just a single shot off cooldown costs an emergency energy. Yeah, maybe each shot without it being on cooldown takes one of your energy. That might just be enough instead of trying to do some sort of rapid fire. I guess using an energy to shoot it off cooldown is technically rapid fire. I don't think there's a good way I'd want to make Drilly tie in with the emergency energy system. Here's an idea. Drilly is never necessary to interact with anything, but Drilly is a helpful way to interact with things. What if Drilly being in the same room as certain threats actually temporarily deactivates Drilly, and you can then use an emergency energy to reactivate her immediately? The same as some people she deactivates can use one energy to reactivate. That's an okay idea. That needs more thinking. I like where my brain's going with that, but I need a bit more thinking on it. And I really don't think there's any way to tie energy into staring at things. Or at least any good way, so that's fine just to leave it as is. Okay. Got that one from the sewers. Okay. Already talked about it. Let's go to character ideas. Let's move character ideas down a little bit so it doesn't clip into ways to manage threats. Main area. Bum, 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 bum. I guess we just are dealing with everything being single space for now. Let's actually character ideas, main area. If I'm not able to do things the way I want to, then let's change the formatting. There we go. Oh, missed one. So one of the main area things would be broadcasted buddies. Random one outside and wanders the house, shooting them or sending Drilly removes them. If they wander to Garn, 47, game over. If they wander to Car, +1 energy. Okay. Good to have that written down. And then obviously, well, maybe not obviously, if you're intentionally trying to keep the broadcasted buddies in to try to get the energy from them, if they wander this way, you can either shoot them immediately, send Drilly to them, or you can close the door to force them to wander back out to this area. I'm thinking I might limit Drilly to only being able to wander the first floor. And maybe this staircase, but make it so she can't go in here or the bathroom out of, privacy for Garn or something. Okay, I like that. I like that. Let me put Misk. Miscellaneous broadcasted buddies. Because I might have ideas for some of the other ones. Okay, let's look at the list of Garn 47 characters again. See if any other ideas strike me. We've already got Garn, Card, really. You wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be here. Really stupid idea, but really funny. The best kind of idea. This is a superstructure one. Garn 74 rapidly wanders. No threat to Gar or Drilly. If wanders to Garn 47, game over. One shot instantly kills. Cannot return for the night. I like this. Essentially, I'd make them wander extremely fast. I'd give them a separate audio cue so that you can tell when they enter from the superstructure. If you're fast enough, you could probably go over them, shoot over there, shoot them immediately, never have to worry about them again. But then if you aren't quick enough, they just immediately begin rapidly wandering the house. Probably have them wander like 2 or 3 times faster than any other character, and you just have to shoot them before they randomly wander to Garden. I actually really like that. Though I wouldn't want them to keep coming back, because canonically they're super weak. That is a really fun idea. Wander is no threat to courage. Really, I should put if they are threats. Eco, no threat. Spawn Knights, no threat. Where? takes energy. Foraz. Threat to Garn. And Seagull is a weird, ambiguous. It's not a threat, but it's really threatening in the long run if you don't deal with it. Okay. So none of these are actively hostile to Car. Broadcasted buddies actively help Car. So Foraz is essentially a broadcasted buddy that will just be ever present but only active when the TV gets turned off for some reason. And since Foraz is always there, wouldn't give energy to Car. So it's just like a random wandering broadcasted buddy that you have to deal with whenever they decide to go wandering. Whereas the normal broadcasted buddies you can shoot, deal with, Foraz can't be removed. And the other ones, you can shoot, deal with them, send Drilly to deal with them, or try to lure them specifically over to Car to get a bonus if you choose not to deal with them immediately. I like that. And it fits that Foraz is one of the broadcasted buddies, so he'd be similar in function. Okay. Don't know how you'd show up. You wouldn't be here. You aren't here. Would be funny if you showed up, but wouldn't make too much sense. Uh, Salty DK Dan is already canonically dead. Hmm. Hmm. So far, I've got a lot of neutral, but not many super threatening entities. All of the things here that are currently threats are incidentally threats, not like actively hostile. And I mean, that's okay. That's not like an issue, but it's just something I'm observing. Do I want to add another mechanic? That would be a fun mechanic, but I've already got so many mechanics. I don't know if I'd want to add another one. We'll think about it. We'll think about adding another mechanic. I'm thinking of adding a fake Garn sound that you can play to try to distract certain characters. But I feel like we're already kind of laden with mechanics, managing the doors, the blast, drilly, and looking at things. Having another click on a room, play a sound in it mechanic feels like it might be overstepping a little bit. Okay. Hmm. That would be funny. Okay, that's a funny idea, so funny ideas immediately get added. Brimbo as a separate individual thing. Functions as a misc broadcasted buddy, but read beginning. But is immediately removed if wanders into Drilly. So the idea is like I said, it's really funny, so it gets added immediately. The idea is in game, if you get Brimbo near Drilly, just like if you get Brimbo near Skeepy, I think is currently in the game. Actually, let me check if the Skeepy Brimbo thing is implemented like I think it is. I don't think I've ever tried it. Where is Brimbo? There you are. Come follow me. We're going across town. Hi, Prippy. Bye, Prippy. Sorry. Almost there. Come on. Okay, now where is she? Should be over this way. There she is. Okay, yep. Getting Brimbo. Getting Brimbo near Skeepy incapacitates him, as does getting Brimbo near Drilly. So I like the idea that Brimbo has a special interaction out of the broadcasties of immediately being dealt with if they're anywhere near Drilly, but it would put Drilly into the low energy, I guess, mode that you need to give an energy point to wake them back up. I like that. That's very funny, which is why it gets added immediately. Okay, is there anything else unique we can do with any of the other broadcast buddies? Hmm. Probably. The brain juices aren't fully brain-elating at the moment. I'm still hung up on how funny it is to implement that as the Brimbo interaction. Susie feels like they'd be pretty generic. Floomy feels pretty generic. Filippo might need to do something special for. Chippy and Foraz are already unique since they're already in the house. Death, I might do something special for, but could be generic. LD, we'll think about LD later, and Lou and Sam seem pretty generic. So like Susie, Floomy, Lou, and Sam could be generic, and then try to think of something special for Flippo and Death. We'll see. Hamu hamu. Okay, I have an idea, temporary idea for LD. Would be main area, lost dog. If stared at, temporarily disables cameras. Because you know, in game, if you stare at LD, he begins to kind of slowly approach you. And that's like the normal thing he does. So if you stare at him on a camera, he'll approach the camera. I like this cool kind of horror idea of even as you switch the different cameras, once he started approaching you, even switching the cameras, he just stays at the same spot on the cameras, but keeps getting slowly closer and closer, blocking out the vision until everything goes black on the cameras for a bit. You could probably use an emergency energy to fix it. I like the idea that some things might be game ending but might be recoverable, but that you can use your limited emergency energy to nullify them. It's almost like saying you have a certain amount of safe passes for the night, which is both forgiving but also means I can be a lot meaner with what some of the interactions do. Because you can just pass a good amount of them, that means I can make a lot more very punishing interactions, but not feel as bad about it because you have a scapegoat for some of them if you accidentally trigger them. Okay, that's our temp idea for Lost Dog. Susie, Floomy, Lou, and Sam. Let's just add that to here. Add that note there for the future. So we've got Brimbo, got Susie, got Floomy. We need Flippo, got Chipley, got Foraz, we need Death. So think of if there's something special we can do with Death. Think of if there's something special we can do with Flippo. I've got an idea. It could be a joint thing. Okay. I like that idea. Main area, Death, and Filippo. Lead. Lead. Your name isn't Death. Why am I... Well, it's not Death anymore. Lead. What was your name? What is your name? What's your name? Why am I calling you Death? I know you aren't Death anymore, but I can't... I said your name earlier, but I can't remember it now. This is painful. Piffy. I said that earlier. Lead. Piffy enters soon after Filippo. Lead Piffy to Filippo before he can enter the superstructure. Okay. That's my idea. And this canonizes, I think I'm gonna add a sound mechanic. Because I've thought of multiple cool things we could do using it that probably make for a good reason to have it. Camera to interact with it. Sound player. Make a Garn 47 noise in a room of your choice. Can lure some characters. Not sure how to do a cooldown on it or an overclock. Maybe we'll just do the same thing with the Essence Blast, where the ability to cancel its cooldown is just one emergency energy point. That sounds good. Alright. So that means we've got Brimbo, we've got Susie, we've got Flumi, we've got Filippo, we've got Chipley, we've got Flores, we've got Piffy, we've got RLD, we've got Lou, and we've got Sam. Okay, so that's all of the broadcasted out of the way and how we want them to behave. I might think of more ideas for each one individually to make them slightly different, but I kind of like the idea that they all work very similarly, at least baseline. Sam. Except for Piffy and Filippo. Technically, I'm going to have Filippo wander normally and Piffy wander normally, so there's a chance they'll just bump into each other and you'll never need to worry about them. But I didn't write it here, what my idea is. If Filippo reaches the superstructure, trigger a raid event. So Filippo getting all the way through doesn't even necessarily end the night, but it would start a special raid event. Let me just write these for now. Hope memories. Husk. Just get them in there. And also remember to make this Comic Sans, because I noticed it wasn't. Okay. Ever present, we've got you. Okay. I've got an idea for Skippy, but it would be like mostly positive. And I feel like I've got I guess a lot of the things aren't positive. They're just things to manage. I guess the idea that Skippy would disable Drilly is threat enough, technically. Trying to think. Because the issue is, I can't see Skippy actively being a threat to Car or to Garn. And I don't want them to just be like positive or neutral. They can definitely be a threat. Oh wait, no, they would be a threat to Brimbo, not Drilly. Yeah, no, they wouldn't even be a threat to Drilly. Prippy is just funny, ha ha ha. I'll think more on that. Okay, got all of the broadcasted. Okay, we're on to enemies, bosses, Garns, and Misk. Okay. Garn Dog. Yes, this is one of the ones I was thinking of for a sound mechanic. Garn Dog would be main area. Garn Dog. Wanders house. Can't be shot. Lured to audio cues. Threat to if reaches Garn 47 or Car. Time audio cues are used, or next time leaves the computer. That is worded poorly. If he gets to Garn 47, then effectively you can't use audio lures for the rest of the night, effectively as a punishment for letting him wander that far. If he gets to Car, you're going to have to be aware, because he won't do anything until you look away from the computer, effectively give him attention. And those would most likely be immediate game overs, because one would be waking up Garn, and the other one would be... Well, I don't think Garndog technically poses any threat to Carr, but we have to suspend that belief for gameplay purposes, and for having a fun Garndog jump scare that is just PNG jump scare. Okay, I like that. And now that we've got the audio cues mechanic, that would be the main way that you deal with Garndog once he arrives. Hamu Hamu. Times barely even canon. We could have a Sight Seeker. I like the idea of having broadcasties. Could have a Sight Seeker. Sight Seekers are from broadcasted, which are under the city, would technically be main area. Okay, that's easy enough. Sight Seeker forces you to stare at it. Wait, no, that's not what... Wait, is that the same thing as the one that's in the broadcasted fight, or is... Because I know the Sight Seeker is the one... Okay, there's a difference between red and white Sight Seekers. Okay. Interesting, I like that, actually. Let's actually do a fun reaction time gameplay mechanic thing. Red and white. Let's actually make them separate for readability. Red will path weighted towards... path will wander if seen on a camera, must be stared at in order to remove from the house. And let's say threat to Garn 47 and Car. Will wander if seen on a camera, must be stared at in order to remove from the house. And then we go Sight Seeker white, non-threat. If looked at for too long, will lock your view. Oh, this just feels like LD again. What's a way we could make this different from the current concept of LD? Briefly. Actually, it's different enough. LD, you can still kind of look around and fully breaks things unless you power it down. Staring at the white Sight Seeker is effectively a lesser LD. Shoot to remove. Okay, that's differentiated enough. So technically, so yeah, thinking about it, if it's white, you want to immediately shoot it. If it's red, you just need to look at it for a little bit. But if it's white and you don't immediately shoot it, you get the whole thing that your vision's going to be locked to it. With LD, you'd still be able to quickly look around at the different cameras while he's approaching. And if you have it, you'd have the ability to use the emergency energy to fix what he does. But with this one, it's just a full-on, you are stuck there looking at it for a short amount of time, as a punishment for not shooting it quick enough or flipping to a different camera. I like that. Yes, I like that. Okay, what are some other ones we could do? Broadcastees, yes. Let's actually make a separate one. Let's make any entrance for things that could theoretically come from any which way. Now let's put the sight seekers under any entrance and put there's another one I wanted to put under any entrance. I forget which one. Oh, it's the one I'm about to do. The broadcasties. Slowly move towards car or Garn 47. Removed by a shot. Should they be a threat to... Should they be a threat to Drilly? How... We don't have much that Drilly can do. I'll have to think about that more. Drilly can really help with managing the broadcasted buddies if you've got them turned up, but doesn't do too much besides that. I'll have to think of more uses for Drilly. I guess right now we're just spitballing, so it doesn't matter how balanced it is. We're just like vibe checking, spitballing what different things would do. Hamu Hamu, I know I want to have implemented somehow. Hamu Hamu, ending one would be terrifying. Actually, I like the idea of ending one. I like the idea of ending one a lot. If stared at, will pop up and play a song to designate where it will run. Close the corresponding door. I like that idea a lot. Because ending one in the maze, if you get too close to it for too long, it pops up and starts playing a little song before it will briefly, for like 10 seconds, try to chase you really fast. So I like this play on it, where if you stare at it, look at it for too long, it will pop up and it will pretty much tell you where it's going based on the music it plays, and you just have to make sure the corresponding door is closed when the music ends, or else it will just pretty much rush in to wherever it has designated it will go. I like that idea. That is interactive gameplay. Maybe don't even have it be stared, just if you're even on the same area as it, so that it's constantly something that you have to worry about while it's around. Short stare. Maybe I should have different lengths of stare. I think with ending one, you'd want it to be a short stare. Like you don't need to look at it much. We'll figure that out eventually. Right now, I'll just leave it as is. Once again, that's stuff we can work out specifics after we get this rough shape. Gloomy cube, that doesn't fit at all. We feel right. No, I don't think there's much unique about We Feel Right to try to implement them. Maybe. Just gonna put We Feel Right question mark. Yeah, just gonna put question marks there to say that yes, I've thought about them, but haven't come up with anything yet. Okay. Gentles are way too big to be involved in this. Pink gentles maybe, though. We do need more superstructure things. We could do a pink gentle in the superstructure. Superstructure... Well, actually, no. Pink gentles are from the mining area, not superstructure. They are... The gentles are very... Gah, and superstructure related, though. So I... Just to have not everything be main area, we'll put them there. Let's see here. If in either room with view of car or in car's room, moving from off computer to on it or vice versa will drain 1 EE or end game, depending on if you have EE. Shooting deactivates and makes randomly wander. Okay, I like that, I like that. Yes, I like this. I'm a fan, I'm a fan. Yep, I like it. Because you could close a door to make it so it can't see you. In which case you're fine. You'd have to close the door preemptively, though. Yeah, you'd have to close the door preemptively to deal with it that way. Okay, yep, I like the idea of how that could be implemented. And no way to remove it once it shows up. Okay. Can't do you. You wouldn't be here. Too big, too big, too big. You wouldn't be here. Hamu Hamu. Garn 46 and Garn 7C. What could we do for them? Hamu Hamu, Garn 46, Garn 7C. Hamu Hamu. Let's put them down here. Hamu. Hamu. Garn 46. Garn 7C. I like the idea of Garn 7C having a minigame tied to him. I was also thinking of having a minigame tied to Skippy, but I wouldn't want Skippy to just be a free reward for doing a little minigame. But I do like the idea of Garn 7C being an issue if you don't do his minigame. Minigame. Question mark. Garn 7C. I mean, Garn 46? Two will vaguely seek out Gar and Garn. Close doors to keep him away. Shoot 3 times to remove temporarily. Garn 7C minigame question mark. I'm good at keeping it like that. This is just like rough idea for Garn 46. Shoot 3 to keep away temporarily. Okay, that's all of the Garns we really have to worry about. I guess we could, but 88 and 80 or 48 and 49 and have it be they're trying to steal Garn's bed again. How would you deal with them? Hmm. 48 and 49. Just gonna put them as another question mark for now, to say that I've thought of them. 49. Bed thieves? Bed thieves, question mark. That works. Okay, NPCs and Misk. Okay, we've already got Seagull and Biko. And the Were. Should probably have something with the McLevins. I like them being neutral, but I don't know what to have them be besides just like more of the broadcasties. Maybe there could be something unique with using them to help you fight Garn 46. Hmm. thinking again. I think for now, this might be good. There are a few other things I'm thinking of adding. Hmm. Hmm. Maybe there could be something with Skeepy and Greenkey. Uh. Hmm. Hmm. See, we're getting into speculative stuff now. I don't know if it's just getting later, so I'm not coming out with as much fleshed out thoughts, or what. How long have I been going? Oh, 2.5 hours. Oh my, time flies. Hmm. What are other things I think could be included? Carites, that's one that I've been thinking of heavily. I just realized I've started putting all of these things underneath the any entrance when starting with Hamu Hamu. I'm just using this as like space. Carites for writing. Unsorted things. Carites. Shoreline and Dim Dim could be interesting. I've got some ideas for them, though it would be difficult to implement, I think. Well, no, not difficult to implement, just complicated. I guess we can add Shoreline Dim Dim question mark for later thinking. Yeah, I think it's definitely that my brain is starting to putter out from doing this for so long that I'm not coming up with stuff as much. Broadcaster. Okay, those aren't even around. the main area. McLevin's, sheesh, that's one that I said I need to figure out something for, and I didn't even put it here. Okay. Okay, I definitely need to do something with some of the minor characters, looking at all of them. You could definitely do something funny with Granny, at least. Hmm. Chopped Chopper. My name is Chopper, and I'm a doctor or something. Gummy. I almost forgot about Gummy. How could I forget about Gummy? Gummy. 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 Gummy, period. Let's do Granny, question mark, question mark, question mark, and then put Marblob. Wait, no, it would be Marigid DLC, question marks, lots of question marks. Because I'm realizing technically I don't really need to obey canon with this, but I'd like to generally stick to things we know for sure. So I've been limiting myself to only things that are on 1R, 2R, but I'm realizing with Marigid being able to act as a transport between the different worlds, theoretically things that are off-world could get here. Interesting. Good idea, good idea. So I could open up the door for other things while staying relatively canon-friendly by having the Marigid DLC. I should put DLC in quotes because I would just jokingly call it that. Or Marigid, apologies. Okay. Think we've got a good outline. I need to get specifics down and start working on programming how to handle things moving through these rooms. I need to figure out how to do that. Yep. Okay. Okay. I like the ideas we've got going so far. I kind of put these down but didn't fill them out. I have some vague ideas for these, but I haven't committed to anything yet. So I'm just kind of leaving it as something for me to ponder on, just like these. I have an idea for We Feel Right. After being observed, will wander one room, then wait to be observed again. Hostile to all. Close doors to mitigate. Okay. Okay. Yep. That works. At least for now, I like that. Okay. Yes, I'm liking this. I'm liking this. Because the funny thing is, most of the things here are not actually hostile, bad things. They're just things that would mess with Garn 47's sleep. And that's what matters here. So I was worried at first that there weren't going to be enough, like, hostile things to actually be a threat. But the more I'm thinking of it, the less there really needs to be hostile things. The main things that hostile things would be a threat to is the fact that they can negatively impact both Kar and Garn over just impacting Garn. Okay. I think I'm happy with this so far. I closed out of that, closed out of that. I know I've been doing slightly shorter streams recently, but I don't like switching what I'm doing on stream. I should figure out maybe a better time to stream. Because, like, later at night, once it gets to about midnight, I start feeling less and less like doing it. Maybe I could try to aim for starting earlier, I guess. Yeah, I could. Need to do things earlier, though. Oh well. For now, it's fine. I'll get that worked out. Well, thank you all for stopping by. If I end up doing this again next time, then we'll probably be starting to code, actually. Regardless, until next time, I'll see you when I see you.